The Greedy and Wicked Woman That Killed Her Daughter, Part 1. In the village of Umuko lived a greedy 50-year-old widow named Dorothy, the wife of the late wealthy Chief Mazi. After her husband's death, Dorothy became known not for kindness, but for her cold heart and endless greed. She never helped the poor, never shared food, and never welcomed visitors. Every evening she sat alone in her mud hut, eating in silence, guarding her late husband's wealth like a curse. One hot afternoon, an old man with torn clothes and tired eyes came to Dorothy's hut, leaning on a walking stick. His voice was weak as he begged politely for a cup of water to quench his thirst. Instead of showing mercy, Dorothy shouted at him in anger. She insulted him, called him a thief, and chased him away from her compound, throwing dust after him as if he were a criminal. The old man looked back sadly, but said nothing as he walked away slowly. Dorothy had only one child, a 25-year-old tall and beautiful daughter named Amaka. Unlike her greedy and cold-hearted mother, Amaka was kind, gentle, and always wore a warm smile that brought comfort to anyone who saw her. Her presence alone felt like a blessing in the village. Amaka spent her days helping widows, feeding hungry children, and comforting those in pain. The sun slowly disappeared behind the tall palm trees, and the village was covered in a golden silence. Dorothy called her daughter, Amaka, into her hut. With a serious face and a greedy heart, she told her, "Amaka, it is time for you to get married. You are not getting any younger." Amaka bowed her head respectfully and replied softly, "Okay, Mama, I have a man and I will bring him tomorrow for you to see." Dorothy's eyes widened with interest, already imagining riches, cows, and bags of money. She warned Amaka sternly that the man must be wealthy and respected, for she would not accept shame or poverty into her late husband's house. That night, Amaka lay awake on her mat, her heart filled with fear and hope. The man she loved was kind and honest, but poor. As the moon shone through the cracks of the hut, Amaka wondered if love would finally win, or if her mother's greed would destroy her happiness once again.
My mother wants to see
The
you
next day,
tomorrow.
Amaka gathered courage and led her boyfriend to her mother's hut. He was humble and respectful. As they stepped inside, he greeted Dorothy politely and bowed his head. But the moment Dorothy laid her eyes on him, her face changed. Anger flashed in her eyes like fire. She stood up abruptly and shouted, "Amaka, who is this poor thing you brought into my house? Is this what you want to disgrace me with? Will you get out?" Dorothy chased the young man out of her house, pouring a bucket of water all over him as she cursed and shouted. Fear and shame filled his heart as he turned and ran down the dusty village path, not daring to look back. Amaka stood there carrying the empty bucket, frozen in shock. Her hands trembled, her eyes filled with tears, and her heart felt like it had been torn apart. She watched the man she loved disappear into the distance, humiliated and broken because of her mother's greed. The villagers who witnessed the scene shook their heads in silence. Some whispered that Dorothy had gone too far this time. Amaka fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She cried bitterly and asked her mother, "Mama, why did you chase him away? What wrong has he done to you?" But Dorothy did not care. Her face was hard like stone as she looked down at her daughter and replied coldly, "Listen to me, Amaka. As long as I am alive, you will never marry that poor thing. Never." Those words pierced Amaka's heart like a knife. Her sobbing grew louder as she held on to her mother's wrapper, begging for mercy. But Dorothy pushed her away and walked back into the hut. But unknown to Dorothy, that moment would mark the beginning of a fate she never expected.